Fam, this Mind the Mic podcast is proudly brought to you by Manscaped. Before we get into this episode, I want to give you the opportunity to check out manscaped.com and use our promo code Mind the Mic. That's one word, Mind the Mic, for 20% off plus free shipping across the entire website. That's it. Manscaped.com, code Mind the Mic for 20% off plus free shipping across everything on the website, where you can get cool things just like this. The Lawnmower 5.0. Look, it's even got a light, and you can trim up all them unnecessary hairs, get rid of them. It's actually made for the downstairs, but you can use it for both if you want. They also have beard trimmers, especially for the beard. But this one here is actually made for the downstairs. So get amongst it, get rid of all them loose hairs hanging around down there. And once you've done that, make sure you clean up that nose too. So we got the Weed Whacker 2.0 for the nose. The Weed Whacker 2.0 is for the nose and the ears. We all get annoyed by those hairs, don't we? And we got the crop soother. So once you finish that undercarriage, come get some of this crop soother in your life. What's crop soother? It's an aftershave for the down there. But I've done it. I've tried it. And it doesn't sting like your dad's aftershave. So you're good to go. And if you want to keep it smelling nice, we got the crop preserver. Deodorant for the balls. That's anti-chafing. Not to mention these are waterproof, fam. So if you're like, yeah, but I like those manual ones because I can use them in the shower. Well, never fear. Manscaped is here. Go hard in the shower. It's waterproof, fam. Good present for your dad, for your brother, your boyfriend, your husband. Well, brothers, treat yourself. Go get you some Manscaped in your life. Use promo code Mind the Mic for 20% off plus free shipping across everything on the website. Enjoy the episode. Make sure you subscribe and get some Manscaped in your life. Mind the Mic. Hey, welcome back to another Mind the Mic podcast. I'm your host, Shubz, here with a very special guest, an NRLW weapon. She's represented her country of birth. She's also got a little bit of a famous family too. She's a mum, and just recently gone back to her main name, the name she was given at birth. Tazmin Rapana. What's goody? How are you, sis?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Nah, grateful for the opportunity, and grateful for your brother Joelin for hooking it up.
That man can talk. Talk.
Where does he get that
It's
from?
too much sometimes.
Where does he get the talk from?
I mean, we're from a big family, so the only way you could get your voice heard was by talking. So, but he's Google Docs, that fella. Knows everything. Knows everything and anything. If you need to know anything, just hit him up and he'll tell you. Even if he doesn't, he'll make you feel like he knows.
Oh yeah, my man. Oh, respect to that. But anyway, we're not here for that fella. We're here for you, sis. Just for anybody that doesn't know you, can you give us a short little synopsis on your own self?
I'm Tazmin Rapana. I'm 29 this year. I'm a mother of two. My oldest is named Joelin. My youngest is Kine. They're 9 and 6. I currently play for the Brisbane Broncos, and yeah, that's about it for me.
Yeesh. Where did this? I guess we'll get into the footy journey, but where did life begin for you in Aussie? Somewhere you were born, eh?
Yeah, I was. There's a fair few of us, so I was the first and only born here in Australia. Mum and Dad decided they wanted to move over. I was kind of like not an accident. They didn't think they were going to have me, and then all of a sudden I just appeared. So they were here at the time working, and then Mum had me here. They moved back home for a little bit, and then we moved back here, and then we've been here ever since. So I think I've spent all of about 2 years in New Zealand my whole life. But most of the time I've spent over here in Australia, which is why I was probably growing up I was always known as a Mozzie. Yeah. And I had blonde. My mum even dyed my hair blonde growing up, so that's how much she loved Australia.
Oh, true. Oh, she dyed it though.
Yeah, well, because we were in the sun so much, it like bleached, and I went that ugly ranger color. And then she bleached blonde, and then I was blonde for majority of my childhood. It wasn't very pretty.
Speaking of their childhood, what was it like growing up there? Obviously, big family.
Yeah, massive family. There was always 100 people at the house. But I think that's what I love most about my childhood is always like there was never time to be alone. And I was always, and as a kid, obviously, growing up in a big family, it's really fun. You're always doing something. I think I was born onto a bloody football field. If I wasn't, like having the amount of brothers that I have, they were all at footy, always at footy. So I was pretty much just dragged along with them growing up. But that was probably the funnest part of my childhood was just like, the memories I made with my brothers, always doing something, whether that was sport or, skateboarding down the driveway, doing just dumb things that my brothers did. But for me, it was like super fun. I thought I was cool doing it. So, those are the memories that I have was just always competing with my brothers or my cousins.
Yeah, solid. And your old man, your brother speaks of your old man Eli. Is it Eli? Uncle Eli. The very reckons he's a bit of a character. Eh? Like he's got a bit of loves the old self talk. He reckons he's the OG of manifestation. Is that true?
Yeah, 100%. I think my dad, like growing up, my dad had if you talk to anyone about my dad, he was the type of fellow that like he had to win everything and do everything like to the best of his ability. Whether that be training or playing. He wasn't the most talented football player, but he definitely trained like he was a professional athlete at such a young age. And I always ask him this now because everyone talks about like splits in your Ks and stuff like that. And apparently growing up, Dad was like a mean runner. And I was trying to ask him the other day, I was like, well, what do you reckon your 1K splits were? Because everyone used to say that when he would go for a run, he would finish, shower, eat, and then everyone would just get back. So I was like, they must have been crazy times.
Carving them, eh?
Yeah, and he's like, I would be carving these fellas up on Instagram. 5 minute splits, there 4 minute splits. So I was like, bro, Joelin and that are trying to run now marathons, and I was like, cuz you got the 7 minute Ks going. Like, you need to be fast. But it was always like
didn't just clock. Was it his first one on the weekend?
Yeah, Joel did his first one on the weekend. Him and my brother that's just older than me. But you gotta. But that was Dad. Like growing up, he loved long distance running, and I can't remember like a week where Dad wouldn't tell us to get off the couch and we had to be running. So if we weren't allowed to sit in front of the TV for very long. If Dad was home, I was always home from school, and there was like this 4K loop that we used to do from around our house. I think it's even longer actually. He used to just whatever the distance was, and we were like, yeah, that's how long it is. But I remember at 8, I was running this loop by myself because he didn't like us being at home in front of the TV. He didn't want us to be useless kids, is what he would say. You're not going to be these crazy kids. Well, I feel like we still are those useless lazy kids. Still
but like
Mom and Dad.
Hey, father.
Just spoiled.
Yeah. I mean, but think about it, sis. If you were able to, if you had just like you're able to provide your tamarikis a life, like you know what I mean, that you could, like, why wouldn't you still look after them? Even when they're a bit older, sometimes, we all need a bit of help sometimes. Sis. Hey.
Well, we're their pride and joy, so I mean,
Who's
the
favorite?
Oh, that's a hard one. I think we all have like our own little place in Mum and Dad's heart. So
yeah,
I'm one of the youngest, so I think I'm pretty close to. That's what I think.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. We all think that Jordan's the favorite though. He's the golden child. He can do no wrong. We all have like faults. Everyone else has faults, but Jordan.
True. Yeah, that's Jordan.
Otherwise, everyone else gets in trouble by that boy.
Oh, wow. Cracked it, eh?
He's the worst of all.
He's the worst.
Maybe it's because he doesn't care. He just doesn't care. So they're just like, all good. We'll just leave him be then.
Yeah, no, solid. What about Mum? What's she like? Because obviously I've heard a lot about Dad. What's Mum like?
I think we get our sporting side from Dad. We definitely get in like stuff like that, but
the competitive side and all that too.
Yeah, the competitive side is from Dad. But for me, Mum would be like the She's taught us how to just be patient and consistent. She's very persistent in what she does. So if she's doing something, she's doing it 110%. She doesn't waver from that. So I think we get that side from her, and like in regards to like if we want to do something in life, like Dad's taught us how to be hardworking and how to get there, but Mum has taught us how to like stay patient with it, be persistent, and always like just show up. And she's very hardworking, charitable, loving, caring. She'll take anyone in off the street, regardless who you are. So she's like there's a side to Mum that everyone probably looks at Mum and thinks that she's like this stern, like strong-headed woman, but she's actually underneath all of that, she's very soft, caring, and loving, which I think has shaped us and like formed us into the people that we are. Like she hasn't just let us like rule the roost. She's kind of always come over the top and been like a strong matriarch and of her beliefs and where she wants us to go in life. And I think if she just let us dwindle, there's 100 of us, so we would all be scattered around the world. So she's always kept us very much in line. She's always definitely wore the pants, and she's definitely directed us as a family. And I think we've just followed her and Dad, and been able to navigate life in the way that's we're doing it together as opposed to just doing it alone.
So like a good counterbalance to your father in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Good.
They're the yin and yang to each other. So where Mum lacks and picks up, and where Dad lacks, Mum picks up. So, but they're very like strong people individually, which I think has helped us as a family.
That's beautiful, sis. That's beautiful. What was the when you were growing up playing footy in that? Did you look up to anybody? Did you always like want to be a Brisbane Bronco, or like what was the goals when you were a kid? I mean, obviously there was probably it wasn't a pathway, didn't exist really, but like
Honestly, I never had any like. I always thought of myself as being certain players, like we would always watch Origin, so I would always say I'm Jonathan Thurston this year or this and that. I was always but I was in that era where if my brothers liked them, I liked them, if that made sense. Okay. But I had no childhood heroes as such. My heroes were always my brothers and my parents and my family. I never looked outside my family for childhood heroes. Everyone in my family were heroes to me, so that's exactly who I wanted to replicate my life, and the way that I wanted to do things was exactly how my siblings did it. And so for me growing up, especially with football, I always wanted to be like my brothers. I always like looked at them as like the pinnacle, and I always thought they were the bee's knees kind of thing. And so
who is the best of the bee's knees? Who do you reckon? Your opinion?
Honestly, growing up, I reckon Saban was the best. Like out of
true.
The brothers, Saban would have been the best. Like he was naturally he was gifted in ways that the other boys just weren't. Like Jordan had to work real hard to. He's me, but he had to work
fucking 100.
Yeah, he had to work real hard. Where Saban naturally just had it all. But I think we all have like this weird anxiety. Like
really?
We all have like, but we don't. So Mum's very anxious, and I think like everyone in sport, you got to have a screw loose to be able to play at an elite level. But everyone has like their nerves are all different, and I think that for like all of us, when we learned to channel our anxiety in different ways, and like my anxiety helps me in my sport, and I think for the rest of my siblings it does as well. But I think that's probably what got Saban, I reckon. Like is like just the confidence in himself. But he was mean, bro. Like if you ask if you ask any of them, we genuinely thought he was going to be like he was going to be the one that was to make it.
Yeah. So if the others say
he got
me,
injured real early. He got injured. He did
true.
his ACL real early, and I think that just rattled him a little bit. And then he went on his mission, and when he came back, he was kind of just like it wasn't there anymore. just didn't want it as much. And then he got married, had kids. But I still think out of all of the siblings, he would have been naturally the best.
Yeah. Where did the bro do his mission?
He served in Adelaide.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's where he met his wife as well.
Yeah, cracked the rear.
Yeah, on the mesh, came home, got married. Rest is history.
Solid.
Now
What about
he's
you? Did you
married.
do one of those auntie ones, sis, or nah?
Nah, I thought about it, but nah. Because when I was in my when I was growing up, it was always we had to go like 20, 21, 22, and then when they dropped the the age, you could be, I think it was like 19, 20, and I was like, by that time I was ready to get married and pretty much by the time I would have been married and had one kid by then.
Can you do it then? Like, can you do it if like you have a kid?
Once you're married, like once you get married, you can do it when you're older. You go on like couples mission.
Oh, yeah. Oh, solid. No, and so have all the brothers done the mish?
All the boys did went on their missions. Raymond, Sydney South, Joelin, Perth, Geo, Missouri Independence, Jordan, England, Birmingham, Savin, Adelaide. So they all went on missions. And they're all stories to be told. They love their missions. Even Jordan talks about his all the time. Like that was probably a cool memory. And they all went through like different. Like some of them loved it, some of them didn't. But like overall, I think it shaped them into the men that they are and the husbands and fathers that they are. So
experience,
yeah, 100%.
Yeesh, solid. And so you obviously don't go on the mission. You have. How old are you when you have your first baby?
So I was married at 19. And obviously come from a strong Mormon family. Like we've always been taught to, get married, have families. And
seal it in the temple,
and like growing up, I was none the wiser to that. Like I wanted to do exactly what, like I said, my brothers and sisters had done and my parents. And so, I got married at 19. I had my first baby at 19. And then pretty much
was that because I know a lot of people talk about like postpartum, and did you ever experience any of that?
I think I was pretty lucky with my first. Like my first one was a breeze. Like if I could have had my second one like my first, I would have continued to have heaps of kids. Like I would probably be an advocate for people to have kids if it was anything like
like when you mean it's a breeze. Like what do you mean? Like the whole experience?
I had it within an hour. Like coming from, I witnessed and watched a lot of people have kids over the years, especially my sister. And I thought, like, after watching her have her first baby, I was like, I'm never having kids. Like, and then obviously hearing from her, she was always like, the pain's always going to get worse. So in my head, when I was going through my labor pains, I always thought that it was going to get worse. It was going to get worse. It was going to get worse. And then by the time it was like, baby was pretty much coming out, I just assumed that it was going to get worse, but it didn't. And I was pretty much pushed like 3 times and she was out at home on the floor, bedroom floor. So I was like, if that's how it was sore, don't get me wrong. But I just put it as like, it was a really long workout, but it was like a 30-minute workout of like intense pain. And then baby was here. But I was just glad that I was at home on the floor. And at the time, my sister couldn't come because she had obviously 2 kids of her own and her husband worked. And so she was kind of like, I won't be able to come, but I'll come up as soon as in the morning because I was laboring through the night. But I ended up having her on the bedroom floor at like 3 o'clock in the morning. And she was just downstairs, so she just walked upstairs. So she just walked upstairs and watched me have baby and then walked back down to her kids. That was a 2-for-1 special, really. But I enjoyed my experience of my first one, but my second one was a bit like me. I nearly lost my life and my baby could have lost kind of thing.
Snaps.
So it was 2 totally different aspects of having kids. Like it went from having baby at home in an hour, and then obviously I had a cord prolapse, and so that's when the cord comes out before the head, which then the umbilical cord the head, once obviously I'm having the contractions, that her head pushes against the cord, and the cord's her supply of oxygen and everything. So the longer her head's doing that, the shorter her life expectancy is. So I didn't know at the time when it happened, when they broke my waters, that all happened then. And they were kind of just like guiding me through it, saying that it was like not as bad as it was. But then the minute the head doctor came in, he pretty much sirened the alarms, and then I just remember they yelling at me saying they have 17 minutes to get her out from where I was, and to get me to theatre, put me to sleep, and I think because of all the
lucky that one wasn't at home, Aces. Yeah. Holy far
in
out.
my head, I was ready to have her at home as well, because I had the first one, but it wasn't to be. I was told to go to the hospital because I couldn't. I think the day before I couldn't feel her or something, and then went into hospital. They managed to find a reason for me to be induced, because at the time I was still only a week away from having baby, but then they wanted to induce me, and then that happened. And just, I think the commotion of it was crazy. But at the time, because I was still playing, like I had played football, and then my thing was that I was going to have baby and then go straight back to football. It was a bit of a because I didn't want to have a Caesar, because then I knew that it was a longer recovery. Oh. I think a lot of things played into hand, like around that side of things, especially when I got told I was going to have a Caesar, because I was like, oh no, now I have to recover longer. I won't be back as soon as I could be. And my thing for me is I love playing Origin, and it was around the time of Origin as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, that all happened. Baby ended up being fine. I was fine, and the rest is history. But it was an experience and a half, and it was mentally, I think it was a lot, because now I was just like, after that I was like, nah, I don't think I want any more kids, especially like the risk that it had on my life, and then babies. I don't think, for me it was just like, nah, I'm not prepared to have any more kids.
Hard. How did you get through it? Just like the mental buzz that you said, the mental strain, and all. How did you get through it?
Oh, I think the way that I was raised, we've always just been raised to be tough, and not like in a bad way, but sometimes it can be in a bad way. We were always raised to just be tough and just get on with it. And I think I kind of just did that. I was just like, oh yeah, one foot in front of the other and just keep going. But at the same time, I don't think I ever dealt with it. I kind of just think on to the next thing kind of thing. I have football to worry about. I need to go back to footy. And it wouldn't have been until 2 years after that I was like, yeah, I'm definitely not having any more kids. But in the motion of it all, I don't think I thought about it too much. I just palmed it off kind of thing. And then when, a few years later, I was just definitely like, nah, I don't want any more kids. Only because of how scared I was. But I think for a long time I just dove straight back into football, dove straight back into things that I wanted to do. So then it kind of masked a lot of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100. Oh well, but you charging now, sis? You feeling good now? Or?
Yeah, I think the one thing I regretted was just jumping straight back into football.
Oh, okay, that was the one. Yeah,
it smashed my body. My body's still stuffed up from it. I didn't allow time for my body to heal, so there was a lot of obviously when you have kids, everything goes pretty much out.
Yeah.
Ligament stretch, this, that, and this, and I obviously after having a cesarean. Being a mum that plays sport, I don't think it was very beneficial for me to just go back, but I did. And I'm super
especially that sport.
Your body goes through so much, and I don't. And
in the position you play,
I didn't allow for my body to be sweet. I kind of just pushed it, and then I getting injured. I ended up having 3 or 4 surgeries.
True.
Last one, and I was having surgeries every year after that one, but that was primarily now when I look back at it, I was like, yeah, that's 100% because I didn't never let my body heal the way that it should have.
Yeah, and the cesarean thing changes it as well. Like you said, everything goes,
Yeah.
but then you also
Like
can cut open as well, and
well,
yeah,
you pretty much lose all feeling of the like your core.
yeah,
For me, I was just young and dumb, and I wanted to play football and I wanted to do this. But then, obviously, as time's gone on, and as I've seen physios and like women health physios,
yeah.
it's that's definitely always the problem coming up because I can't feel like obviously the bottom half of my core, and that's a lot to do with like your pelvic floor. This is stuff that you need when you're playing football. Otherwise, you just be on the field all the time.
Maybe there's some good, a little good tidbit for somebody out there that might be, maybe don't rush back as quick.
Yeah, well, that's
out
something.
there.
Obviously, I feel like I was a bit of a guinea pig because obviously when I came through, I was probably the only one at the time having kids and trying to come back to play football.
Oh, true. And at that level too, Origin and all of that.
Yeah, so a lot of the girls that were having kids or were in a situation like similar to mine, not so bad, but just having kids playing football. A lot of them reached out and asked how even the NRL reached out and asked how they could, support the girls, especially, when I look at it, I'm like, having a baby is like, bringing a kid into this world is like second to none. And when you look at a woman's, like professional woman's pathway, especially rugby league, you look at it like, I would see it as an injury. So like, if you do your ACL, you're out for a year. If you have a baby, you're out for, a year. But making a plan around that with the NRL and how they better support women, because when I came through, it was just like, oh, I got pregnant, they shafted me. And you pretty much have to work your way back to the top again. And that was the hardest part, was obviously being at a level where I was like playing for Australia, and then I have a baby again and I have to start pretty much straight from the bottom of the barrel again. And how for women to navigate that. Like, I feel like I was a bit different. Like, I have a few screw releases in the brain, so it was a lot easier for me to come back.
Like Eli Rapana in there.
Yeah, it's just a lot easier for me than it was for some other girls. Like some of the girls that have babies and they've never come back from it. Yeah. But at the time, like, I just wanted to play football and I'd do whatever it took to get back there. But also like respecting the body and letting the body heal and letting it do its thing, because I don't think I did it the right way, and I didn't want any other girls to, experience that as well. So they have like a process now where you don't have to like go to the back of the line again. It's kind of like if you're with an NRL club and you get pregnant and stuff like that, the NRL clubs can help you now and facilitate that, if that makes sense, and helping you to, stay in contact with them, but also prepare to be a mum as well, and then get the body right to be able to come back to playing at the top level again. And there's a few girls now that have done it, which is pretty cool to see, because obviously when I came through, it was like I was doing it and no one else. Whereas there's a lot more girls now that want to have families. Like, we're women, everyone, we have kids, and there's a lot of girls that want to have families and stuff like that. So it's not just like, oh yeah, your sport, and like the boys, they get to just go and do their job. At the same time, like, we got to do our job, but there's a lot of girls that want to have families, and how can they do that as well as play sport? But they found a way. They found a way.
Like, obviously ratchet that you had to be the guinea pig, but also probably good because you're so strong. You know what I mean? Maybe someone else, like you said, wouldn't have enjoyed it.
Me and not anyone else, because if it was someone else, it might have been different.
100. Like sometimes, especially with, I know that postpartum and all that stuff, and if you don't have the right support, people are learning more about it now. And I'm like, even me, I'm a man, so I never experienced that. But
I think I'm pretty
lucky.
I
sympathize with it. 100.
Yeah, 100. I was pretty lucky. I didn't like. I was with my parents when I had my first and second baby, and so I've always and I'm one of the youngest, so my siblings are very protective. That's so to speak. Like, I was always well looked after.
Having that support system is key, though. Just like at home, like you didn't, because some people have babies and then they got to do it alone.
Yeah, I was pretty lucky. Like, I always had mum, dad, the babies, dad was always like he always worked with my parents, so I always had, and mum and dad wouldn't have let me be by myself, kind of thing, even with my siblings. So I had mum like pretty much up the hallway. I had my sister upstairs, and I had my brother across the road. So I was pretty lucky. I was pretty lucky. I never like understood what that would have felt like to have, the after blues. I was pretty like I feel pretty lucky to not have to have dealt with that. But that doesn't mean that, we all deal with stuff in a different way. But I just didn't get it when I was.
No, props to you, and good on you for for leading the way, and shout out to the NRL. Shout out to the NRL for wanting to, because obviously it's they've been a man's sport for ages, or like at the professional level, and to understand that, hey, like women's a bit different. We got to treat these a bit differently than we do the men, and the fact that they're open to have those conversations. Like the NRL is leading in a lot of ways, I think, in sports, like around the world, even like with the kind of actions that they're up to and how the comp's gone and stuff like that. I think it's cool.
Yeah, I think it's a big brand, and it's definitely wanting to expand in different areas, and I think that's the cool part about being a part of it right now, is like the expansion of the game and where it's going. There's areas where it's taken the game to Vegas, and it's gone over internationally, like globally now.
Is Geordie trying to get a one game contract for that, or what? No. That's what Joelin reckons.
That would be nice. But I think it's cool. Like it's a business, so they've got to grow and expand, and to be able to make money, you got to spend money. So it's pretty cool to see where the game's gone, like taking it over there and seeing how America does things. So, and if you look at sport across the globe, like America does it really well.
100. And if you've been like, I've watched the few games over there. Yeah, but like the way they do it, there's so much fandom over there too. Like what I mean? Like people are servants.
If you look at our rugby league stadiums, our small, like our just like local league parks, they're tiny, but like their local league parks for NFL and stuff like that are huge. Like Suncorp would be like a junior club.
Yeah, that's like that's not even a university stadium. You know what I mean? Them colleges, man. Hey.
Hundreds of thousands go see that game. We're barely scratching tens of thousands. So I think it's pretty cool where the game's going and what they're willing to do.
And you've been a part of it too, so like you talk about the even just the advent of the NRLW, like that coming in, and like how that started, and like you've been through that whole journey. Like, what's that been like for you?
No, that's been pretty cool. Like I think for a long time I never felt that I was a pioneer of the game because of the people that I was like playing alongside when I came in. For some of those women that I played alongside, they never even would have they were the pioneers. Like when I look at what the pioneers of our game look like, it's like them. Like they did things they had to pay for.
Who are we talking about?
Like Steph Hancock, Renee Kuntz, Heather Bellinger. They're pretty much greats of the Australian women's international teams and stuff like that. And then I was coached by Tani Norris, so at Burleigh Bears, and she's probably one of the greats alongside them. And so there was a lot of players that I got to play against, but play with that. They didn't get to experience the accolades that I do. They didn't get to play NRLW. Or Steph still does, and Heather got to, but Renee Kuntz, she's probably like been a massive part of, how I'd like to present as a player. She was the back row of like my time growing up, and I got to play alongside her. But those players pretty much shaped in a lot of the game to where we are now as women in league. But they sacrifice way more than I get to enjoy the fruits of their labor. But
and your own labor.
Yeah. But I get to I reap the rewards of the hard work that I put in when they sacrifice their time off work, their everything that they did to they were selling raffle tickets to be able to play an Origin.
Far now look at it, far packed, like even like the girls.
I never looked at myself as a pioneer, but now that I look at it and where the game's going and the things that still need to happen for, just our younger generation. But I'm proud of where, us as women have been able to step in and be part of that and facilitate and be able to help, project the game in the way that it needs to go. And there's still a lot more and there's a lot more work we can do, but at the same time, it's baby steps. It's not going to get there overnight. But we're definitely being a part of it has been really cool to see. We made goals back in 2015 on where we wanted the game to go as a part of the Jillaroos.
And what were some of those goals at the time? Can you speak on some
Well,
of
at the time we wanted to, we sat down and we pretty much, there was like a squad of 30 of us. And we said we wanted to win a World Cup. We wanted to use that platform to then project the game into an NRLW. But this was like a 10-year plan. This wasn't like this is going to happen in the next 5 years kind of thing. This was like a 10-year plan. First we focused on like our fitness and where we wanted our fitness to be so that the game, we can get more eyes on the game because, the better quality of the game, the more eyes that are going to watch. And so we set benchmarks for all of that, and then we said where we wanted to be, and a part of that was creating history for the women's game and being able to have an NRLW comp. But that was a 10-year plan, and then within they won the World Cup that year in Australia, which brought more eyes and attention to the game. And then moving forward, the next year we had an NRLW in 2018. So I think that was really cool, to be a part of that and to be able to witness, obviously I missed out on that World Cup because I got pregnant. And that was a tough pill to swallow, but it's been pretty cool to be able to see where, the game started and when we went into our room with 30 odd girls and we set a plan and now
mapped it out and here we are. That's
But
old
that-
Eli Rapana, writing that down. Manifestation, brother.
That's credit to the girls' hard work, but also Brad Donald, the Jillaroos coach, he was a massive part of that and the pathways and where he wanted to go. And I think he gave us an opportunity to put it out there, and then he was the man to help facilitate that for the women's game. But obviously, there's been a lot of people that have helped along the way and help, support him. And obviously, we're just players, but at the same time, if we don't play the type of quality that they want us to play, we don't get, the accolades, and we don't get to where we don't project the game in a way that where it is now. So it's been pretty cool to be able to see that. And now you look at it, and it's like, we have academies for NRLW teams now. We have schoolgirls comps. We have, we have so many opportunities and pathways for girls to be able to make this a career for themselves. So it's been pretty cool to be able to witness that. But the older I get up, the more I'm like, okay, can someone else take over now?
Wait, and just from what you were saying, I understand what you're saying. These are the OGs, they are the pioneers. But if the journey of women's rugby league is an unfinished painting, you've definitely put your own brushstrokes on this. You know what I mean? Even off the field with the whole, being the having babies and trying to come back, that whole process, and them reaching out to you, don't sell yourself short. So this played a part too. Hey, for sure. You're in that room, and when I said about your dad, because your brother said that when he was younger, that he used to see your dad writing down stuff all the time, and he didn't realize that he was writing down goals for what he wanted your guys' life to be like, which has pretty much happened back in Purirua. when he was a kid, before you were even born, I think.
Yeah, no, that would have been before I was born, but I remember Joel telling me that. But yeah, I've always seen, especially mum and dad, obviously, it's nature over nurture kind of situation. What you see is pretty much who you'll be, kind of thing. And mum and dad have always been like that, as show me your friends, I'll show you your destiny. That's what they've always quoted to us as kids. And for me, watching them do things, and I think I replicated a lot of it. We all have as kids, Dad like I said, Dad was always training, and I think that's what's helped me in my career and a lot of us is that we probably train harder with our parents than we ever have on a football field. If that makes sense.
Yeah, well, his
Like Dad,
brother even said, like, my dad still, even today, if I see him, he'll be like, come on, babe, let's
it was
go.
always
Yeah.
it was always a competition, and there was no way that I was even remotely knew what the boys were doing. But I remember like growing up, we were always at the over Christmas period, it was like our preseason. Dad would wake up us up at like 4:30, 5 o'clock every morning, and we're down the beach running. If that made sense. So we were always doing something, but Dad was always training. And I remember as like a young kid, he would always train and like do things. So like for me, it was always like I had to write things down, like print out a little, do 100 sit-ups or do 100 this. We always had a gym at home, and that was like a part of like that was always something that, you know, helped him. I remember going to the beach at like every afternoon would be at the beach. And Dad would be in the gym and would be out playing touch footy on the sand. So like for us, like hard work and doing all of that stuff was second nature kind of thing, just because that's the environment that we grew up in. If that makes sense. So I credit a lot to my parents. Like I don't say it as much as I probably should, which they like humbly wouldn't want me to. If that makes sense. Like they're very humble in their approaches, but at the same time, like a lot of the credit goes back to how our parents raised us and the things that they did and still do.
How are we gonna get these fellas on, G? We're gonna get these fellas on the podcast, cause you know, like
We've been eating more than 2 hours, that's for sure. Mum probably like Mum's pretty.
But the old man,
The old man, he'll be able to. He would keep you on here for 4 hours.
Joelin Rickens, you'll be going, oh, uncle, my thing's cutting out.
Yeah. Just make sure he charges his phone, because otherwise he'll be like, the bro's phone will die before anything.
Yeah.
He can talk, but then again, you know, he's just very passionate and proud of his kids, and everything he's done is just to support us kids. And I said to Dad the other day that I was like, oh, I think I'm ready to retire now. I think I've done everything. And he was just like, nope, you're not done. Keep going, keep playing. And I was like, bro, please, not enough. He's just like super proud and super, like he loves.
Yeah.
Even now, he still tells me that I need to get off my ass and go for a run. He probably still
even though you're NRLW star origin
he's probably
player.
Still fitter than me. He's probably still fitter than me, and he's got half a heart.
What a guy, man!
He's not even meant to be training.
True. Their mentality, though. What's it like getting a premiership?
I actually spoke about this the other day. It was pretty cool to be able to tick that box off and say that, like, you know, I won a premiership. But at the same time, it was, you know, that was when it was like a 6-game comp. But at the same time, like I was super proud. But I think it would mean more to me now. Like back then, it was always just tick a box. And to say that I won a premiership with the Broncos, and to be able to, you know, because I've been to a fair few clubs and I've done a fair few things in my career to be able to. But I think at that time it was more just to tick a box. It wasn't, you know, something that I emotionally invested in, which I'm not proud of. Like, you know, when you're at a club, you're meant to be wholeheartedly there and you want to do this and you want to do that with your team, which I'm super proud of, and I was able to do it with some of my closest mates. But at the same time, I wasn't fully immersed in it, if that made sense. It was just something I wanted to do, and I did it. But still a very cool piece of history to be able to have, and to get a premiership winning ring. You know, some people would play their whole careers and not get one of those. So I'm still very proud of that opportunity. But I think if I was to be able to win a premiership now, and the place that I'm in now and where I'm at mentally and emotionally, I think it would mean a lot more to me now than it did back then, if that makes sense.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you hear a lot of, I know yours was, the comp was different and this and that, but even you hear some of the guys when they talk about like winning premierships early, and they think, oh, this is easy, and then they never win another one, and they're like, oh,
Yeah.
Rick. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
you just
Like,
take it for granted sometimes, I think. Like,
yeah.
I definitely took that for granted, like that opportunity for granted. I didn't really, not that I didn't care or anything, but I was just kind of like, oh, yo, that's done. What's next, kind of thing. And I think that's where I was in life. I was very much on to the next, on to the next, on to the next, and I didn't appreciate and take value in the opportunities that I did get, or like the time that I did have to be able to do what I did.
Yeah.
And it was kind of, yeah, like baby was only young back, the kids were only young back then, so I didn't really see the value in all of that, whereas now everything that I do is, you know, to be a good example to my kids, and so to show them that, you know, if mom can do this, there's nothing that you can't do in life that, you know, you don't want to do.
Yeah. Oh, that's so beautiful. Well said. Well said, sis. Wow, I feel inspired. But how does it go managing being a mother and being a football player and all of that? I don't know if you have to work or whatever, or I don't know how it works for you. Oh no, yeah. What's it?
I don't think you do manage, eh? Everything. That's the hardest part. Is like, obviously, when you look at the men's game, you look at the men are the ones that go to work and they do this and they do that, and the partners and the mums are at home. You know, whereas when it's a woman doing it, it's totally different.
Yep.
You're still the mum. You still got to do this. You still got to do that. You still got to, you know, do all the stuff that a matriarch does in the home. And I think that's the hardest part is being able to try and juggle both. Because the kids very much want just their mum at home. You know, mums are meant to be in the home. So me not being there was probably the hardest part for me, is seeing the effects that it's had on them, and it still does even now. But you know, having a village that supports you, like my parents and my family, and all the work that they do behind the scenes to be able to, you know, keep the boat afloat, is pretty much credit to them, because the kids hate it. That's just
really?
Me personally. Like my kids hate it that I go away and that I do this, and they don't see the value. But hopefully one day that they do. They understand it. They understand that mum's going to football, but it's more mum's not home, and that's their hardest. You know, that's the hardest thing for them, is that mum's not home and she's not present. Whereas, you know, most mums are at home. They're the ones running the kids to school. They're the ones picking them up from school. They're the ones that are at every, you know, event, which I do. I do make a lot of it, but at the same time, it's just like just having mum's presence in the home is a lot different than mum not being home at all, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's been a difficult one, I think, but I don't regret anything. I don't have any regrets in that, like, in that area, because at the end of the day, one day they'll grow up and they'll understand that, you know, mum didn't just do this for fun. Mum did it to provide for us, and I don't think they're whinging when they're on holidays and they're doing stuff like that. For me, it's just like, you know, this is just one of those hurdles that we have to get through as a family to be able to, you know, for me to be able to do what I do. But yeah, it does come, like everything comes at a sacrifice, and sometimes sacrificing, you know, time with your kids and your family is the hardest part. But for me, it's what I have to do to be able to, you know, live out my dreams and be able to do the things that I do, because no one else is going to live my dreams for me. That I have to do. So yeah, that's just the like everyone sacrifices in life, and I just have to sacrifice for this period of time so that I can, you know, live out my dream and tick boxes that I need to tick, so that, you know, one day my kids can look back and be able to be proud of their mum for the stuff that she's done, and not sit there and think that she's just running away from them.
I get it. But as a kid, that's what you'd sort of think.
100%.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, hard.
But I can emphasize in the fact that, like, I remember, because my mum worked heaps. Like my parents worked a lot growing up. Like mum ran salons, mum did this, mum did that. So like growing up, mum was like always on the go. She still is. Like that's the type of person she is. She has to be doing something. She's always on the go. So I remember being a kid and being like, where the heck's my parents? Because I was always with my siblings, especially my older sister. So like like obviously mum's my mum, but she was like my second mum. She pretty much like ran the roost.
Who's that? What's her name? Huh?
Jaylee.
Oh
Jaylee.
yeah. She's gonna come on the old potty too. That's right, Jaylee. The
So
CrossFit
she's like
lady.
so we have mum, and then she when mum wasn't around, that was our mum. And obviously mum was always working, so she was always away. So I can understand when my kids like, where's my mum? Like that's how I was a lot growing up, because mum was a hairdresser and she was always working. And those hours were like stupid hours, like early in the morning to late at night kind of thing. So I was always with my siblings, but like now that I look back, I'm like, oh, I can understand what mum was doing now, because like you know, we're lucky to be in the position that we are as a family. Like if it wasn't for mum and dad's hard work, we wouldn't be as successful as we are as a family. So I can understand that now, but growing up I could not understand that. Where's my mum? Where's my dad? My dad's always home late. And my mum, like it was always like on the weekends we were with dad, because that was the only time dad had off. And mum would be out doing the groceries, and I was like, where's my mum? Why isn't mum with us? Or she'd be cleaning the house and stuff. So it was always like, but now that I look back, I'm like, oh, that's just what mums had to do. Like, that's their role, and that's the role that they play in the family. So yeah, now I can appreciate it and understand. I understand now when my kids are upset, like why they are upset, but at the same time, you got to do what you got to do to make ends meet sometimes.
Yeah, 100. No, I get it. Solid. What are some of those dreams you said, like living out your dream? What are some of the dreams left in football that you can you speak on any of that? Or do you...
I don't think I have any dreams left in football. I think for me now, it's just continue to,
cement the legacy.
Continuing on the legacy, yeah. Growing up, like, my brother's always just, because there was no girls' comp back then.
Nah,
so
nothing.
My brother would always say, what are you going to do when you grow up? And I'd always just be like, I'm going to be a football player. So they were like, oh yeah, you're going to be the first like women's NRL player kind of thing. So, like,
because it's cool that they would say that to you.
Yeah,
instead of like, no, that's a dumb dream. There's not even a women's comp. What are you up to? Yeah.
But I was so dumb and naive to it, to be able to sit there and be like, yeah, I'm going to be that and I'm going to do that. So I used to
not even like, so you just help manifest it. You know what I mean? Eli Rapana,
and so
man.
That's all I knew, was kind of just like, if I didn't play football, what else would I do? Be on the concrete pump? I did that for a bit too.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, like my dream was always to play in the NRL. Like I didn't see NRLW as something different. A dream of mine was always to play in the NRL, and to be able to do that now has been a dream come true. And I never thought that I'd, just to be able to play rugby league at the level that I do. I never thought Origin would be a possibility. I never thought, playing for Australia would be a possibility, or having the opportunity to be able to choose between Australia and New Zealand. I never thought that would be a possibility. And so to be able to, have those conversations, and to be able to be a part of that, and to be able to, live out those dreams has been like a dream come true for me. But I don't do it for myself. I don't do it, for the accolades. I do it primarily because I want my kids to know that their mum is doing something for a purpose. And I'm proud of what I'm doing, but I also want them to know that, hard work and persistence pays off. And if you your dreams are your dreams, and dreams are free, and I get that. But to be able to live out your dream, that's what I want my kids to do. That's what I want my kids to do, is to live out their dreams, and to be able to achieve the things that they want to, so that, they can be proud of who they are. Because at the end of the day, everyone, the world's a messy and ugly place, and everyone's going to have struggles and things are going to happen. But, to be able to do the things you love, you got to sacrifice some things. And that's just, where I'm at. Like, I'm proud of where I am. I'm proud of what I've done. I'm proud of the mum that I am, and the opportunity that I have to, put my family on a platform that they are, and for my kids to be able to, watch their mum and be proud of their mum, and to be able to see what she's doing, and the things she does, and to be able to, even just having them in the crowd, to be able to cheer me on, to be able to see that, and then be proud.
What a buzz!
Like, that's my mum, or like that's my uncle, like that. like stuff like that. Like I remember when my brother made his debut, and I was like so proud. I was like, yeah, that's my brother, and just like to be able to say that that's my brother.
Yeah.
So for me, that's all I want to do is just make them proud.
Yeah, nah, that's just mean. That's mean. You spoke about the decision to choose New Zealand or Australia. Was it a hard decision for you at all, or I know you're born there, Australia, and that you probably grew up supporting the Kiwis or the All Blacks.
Well, at the time it was pretty like I feel like that was probably one of the hardest decisions I had to make.
Yeah.
And it primarily came down to the fact that I wanted to be able to play Origin as well. Like when I look at international footy, when I look at rugby league as a whole, like there's nothing that comes close to playing in the Maroons jersey and to be able to play Origin. And I've had no better feeling than playing for my state. And that was the stepping stone that I got to be able to, you know, have the career and the luxury of and to be able to do the things that I do was because of Origin and being able to play. If I didn't play Origin, then I wouldn't be in the position that I am now, if that makes sense. So I felt like I owed a lot to my state and a lot to the people that, you know, that put me in the position to be able to play rugby league. So if I couldn't play Origin, I wasn't going to play for the Kiwis, if that made sense. So when it boiled down to everything, and like, you know, the long and short of it is that if I could have played Origin and if I could have stayed playing Origin even 10 years from the time that I signed, like that I played for the Kiwi Ferns, then I would have stayed 100%. But that was just not the possibility. If I played for the Kiwis, I was never playing Origin again, and I couldn't. Like now that I look back at it, like, yeah, it was like one of the hardest decisions. If I had the time back, I probably would have like asked a few more questions around all of that. But at the same time, like I got to play for the Jillaroos, and I am proud of that opportunity and proud of that, you know, I'm proud of being able to give back to the country, you know, that has given me so much. But at the same time, I think I'll never be able to. That's why I value so much playing for the Māoris is the opportunity that I get to play able to, you know,
get
give
to
back.
represent your parents and your father. Hey.
Yeah. Well, when I look at it, I'm like, if I like, there was a lot more that I could have done playing in the black and white jersey than the green and gold, in the sense that, you know, I'll never be the Millie Boyle. I'll never be, you know, those girls like the Isabel Kelly. I won't be that. Like us brown girls, we just won't be those girls. But for New Zealand, we could have been that, if that makes sense. Like, and that's the only regret that I have, is just like there's a lot more I could have done for a young girl in New Zealand.
I get what you mean. That looks like you. That, you know.
Yeah,
I get what you mean.
Like it's nothing to Australia or anything like that. It's just
hell no. I understand.
Yeah,
it's just like you can't be what you can't see. You know what I mean?
All that I could have done for, you know, the young girl in New Zealand, especially living in Australia and growing up in Australia, and you know, doing the things that I've done here. But at the same time, I made the choice to play for the Jillaroos, and I live and stand by that, because at the end of the day, I'm able to, you know, play Origin and live out a dream playing Origin and doing that. Like, that's been real cool to be able to experience, you know, Origin for what it really is now, and especially having a 3-game series. So I'm super proud of that. But that was probably one of the hardest decisions I've ever made in league, is to be able to pledge my allegiance to Australia.
Yeah, because did you grow up supporting like the All Blacks and the Kiwis, like, or what?
Yeah, I pretty much grew up like supporting the Kiwis. I was probably like a diehard. Like, obviously I've been brought up here, and I think that was the hard part for me. It was like just being brought up here, and then like always saying that, like always I was trying so hard, like growing up, to be a Māori, because I lived in Australia.
You are Māori. It's just the only thing you need is the blood. But I get what you mean.
I was always just like, when I go back home, my cousins are like, "You're Australian. You're a Mozzie. You grew up there."
Yeah, actual haters there. Yeah, haters, bro.
You sound like them. You like listen to your accent, and I was just like, So like, then,
that's crazy though. People like trying to fit in when like the only requirement you need to be a Māori is the blood. Yeah, like, just...
Bro, I was born here, and I used to say that I was born in Puriroa. I was born in Tweed.
Nakabuhay, that's where I grew up, can't say.
Anyone that I used to go to school with, whenever it came to like saying where you were born, and everyone in my family was born back in New Zealand. So I was like, they'll be like, oh, so are you born in New Zealand? Yeah, no way. I was born in Tweed Heads Hospital. So I used to like try so hard growing up to be like, yeah, I was born in New Zealand. Because like obviously when I was younger, it was like you're born in Australia, you're Australian. Not you're born in Australia, your family's all from New Zealand, so you're like, you know. I was always just like, nah.
Do you have the dual? Do you got the dual, sis? Like the through descent or like that pass? You got dual passports?
Nah.
Nah.
So mum just got me Australian birth certificate and Australian passport, and I'm Australian. And so like I'm Australian citizen.
Yeah, good on you, mate.
Whereas so my siblings all have to go for citizenship, not me. And because I was born,
shout out to mum and dad.
Yeah,
Shout out to mum for having you an Aussie.
Because I was born before a certain date, like I'm automatically an Australian citizen. And because
true.
X amount of years, so I was pretty lucky in that department. But at the same time, I'm like, so I get everything that.
Yeah.
You know, any Australian.
I
read the reports of it, but at the same time, I was like, growing up, I was always like, no, I'm Māori.
Conflicted, I'm Māori.
I was very confused.
Yeah.
About my identity and, you know, how Māori I was, because obviously back then it's like, how much Māori are you? Well, for me, I was like, I'm full Māori because I was born in New Zealand. Wasn't. I was born in Tweed Heads. But that's why I appreciate so much now I don't feel so confused. I feel very connected to, you know, who I am as a person. And
what was it like getting into Māori's camp in there?
That was the big part, like finding out who I was, because I was like, I stood up and told them that I was a plastic Māori and I was fake. I was a fraud because I grew up in Australia and I know nothing about my culture, which I didn't, respectfully. My parents brought us here for a better life, and I get that.
Yeah, solid.
And they know heaps. Like mum sings Māori songs all the time, but it's not like they sat down and taught us that. But like if you look at Joel, like how Joelin was brought up, like because he's one of the oldest.
Yeah.
Mum used to make them do the haka and all of that stuff, and so when we moved here, like, bro, I barely knew what the haka was. I didn't know this, that, and that. I just kind of
when you moved back there.
I would just fake it. I remember going to Kohanga and doing a haka, but that's about it.
When you were little, but back
we
home.
Went there, we went there.
Did you get a Kohanga over there?
Yeah. And then I don't remember that. I remember flooding the bathroom and never being able to go back. Me and my cousin flooded the bathroom at Kohanga and then never were like.
Not the band from Kohanga.
I remember, you know, those like the typical tracksuit photos when they bring out the tracksuit and gets in the tracksuit so they all look the same, and you have the class photo. I remember that. Yeah. Then flooding the toilet and then never being able to go back. That's what I remember. But like playing Māoris was definitely an eye opener for me, and being around and immersed in the culture, because obviously you go back to Tangis and you see that and you see this, and you're like, for me it was like, this is so embarrassing. I don't even know what they're saying. I'm just sitting here. Even now, I don't know what they're saying and stuff like that. Like my nan's funeral was the first like funeral that I've been to where it was like, you know, immersed in the culture of the Māori culture. Whereas before, I hadn't been to a like proper tangi and, you know, been a part of that. So when my nan passed away, that was the first time like staying on the marae, you know, being welcomed onto the marae and stuff like that. Like I've been around it, but like I never got to experience it as a whole. And so like this for me was like a real eye opener in the sense that I was able to like, you know, I even said my pepeha for the first time, and like I had to bring my koro and say that. And
got us a rendition or nah?
What of my pepeha? Oh, me. Say it now.
Yeah. If you want to, you don't have to.
Whatirei e te maunga, ko tāna i te waka, ko parirua te awa, ko Ngāti Toa te iwi, ko Tasman taku ingoa.
What a Māori. Yeah, that's it.
But even that, I was embarrassed before. Like I wouldn't say, I'd just be like, ka whirirei e te maunga. Like I'd mock it. I'd mock everything about it, just because it would make me feel better.
Yeah, yeah.
That was
Wow,
one year.
good on you, this is.
They asked me, like, for Māoris, they asked me to send in a video, and I actually mocked it, like, and then I got in trouble with that. But at the same time, I was just like, bro, this is just how, like, I feel. Like, this is just how I feel, because I don't want to, like, embarrass myself, kind of thing.
But imagine how many other, like, young Māoris out there, like, that have, there's so many born in Australia, like, that feel the same or grow up here. And don't
all our families born here. Like, all our kids are born in Australia. So, like, now I appreciate it now more than I, did back then, just because of, like, how they treated me at Māoris. They were kind of just like, I was like, oh, I'm a fraud. Like, I'm a fake. I grew up in Australia. I have nothing to do with my culture. And then they were just
sort of like an identity crisis a little bit.
Yeah, they stopped me in my tracks, and they were just like, don't say that again. Like, regardless of how much you know or what you know, or how much you know or what you don't know, it doesn't matter. Like, there's always time, and it doesn't mean you're any less Māori than me or her or her or her.
Hell no.
So just kind of like, oh, it took me back for a second, and then I was just, no, that's so true. And if anything, I got more angry at mum and dad because I was so confused growing up about it. I was always,
they didn't teach you and stuff like that.
Yeah, it would, and because my cousins all went to Te Reo Māori schools.
Yeah.
Speaking Māori schools. And they all understood it. I was just like, bro, like, I would get angry because they have, like, first language is Māori.
Yeah.
So they couldn't read growing up. They couldn't read growing up because of
same.
read English growing up, and we would just laugh at them. I used to laugh at them when we'd read, like, scriptures when they'd come over, and they couldn't read English, and I was laughing. But then they're laughing.
This Book of Mormon stuff?
We'd be sitting in the lounge reading
to the angel Moroni.
And then I'm fully like, I would start laughing at them because I'm like, bro, you don't even know how to speak. And then it wasn't till later on, like, when I got older, I was like, you know what? You know what's more embarrassing? Like, I can read, like, they can learn to read English.
Yeah.
But I've just sat back and mocked them for speaking, like, the native tongue.
Yeah.
Only because I was embarrassed, if that makes sense. So, like, and then I was angry as at mum and dad for a little bit, but only just about that. Bro, why didn't you send me back? I was like, that was so embarrassing. I went into camp and da-da-da-da-da-da. And then mum was just kind of like, that's how she was. Like, she was not allowed to go to the marae growing up, and she wasn't allowed to do that. But she knew heaps about, obviously, because they grew up. But her mum didn't like her doing that. Her mum didn't like her going to the marae and stuff like that. But she could,
mum probably grew up with, like, they were probably getting donged out for talking it too, in those days.
Yeah, but my koro taught himself how to speak.
Yeah.
Like, and by the time he died, he was, like, fluent. Like, he could,
Is this the car salesman fella?
Yeah.
Fella? Yeah.
It's just like Joelin probably spoke about my koro and the man that he was. My koro was, he's a lot like how my mum is.
Oh, okay.
So my mum, like, that's my mum's dad. So my mum is I would say my mum's an exact replica, woman version of her dad.
Oh, true.
Like
what was his name? Because I heard, like, a lot about
Karewa.
Karewa.
Karewa. Everyone called him Bill.
The Bill. Uncle Bill. But which is Joelin did say, like, he remembers vividly a time, like, it's this fella walk in, like, and the bro took his, like, flash loafers off and give the bro his shoes, like, have these, like, and this, like you see, your mum, same vibes.
My mum would give the shirt off her back for anyone. Like, it doesn't matter what brand, whatever it is. But I think that's what we've seen our parents do, is just, like, how charitable they are. And we've run by a motto in our family is kindness no money can buy, and that's what my koro always taught. You'll probably hear a lot of, especially in our family, that we have mottos. And my koro's motto was kindness no money can buy.
That's a good one.
So, like, that was like a family.
Yeah.
Been like a family motto. So that was the exact type of man that he was. He would. And that's probably why he lost everything, to be honest. It's because of, like, the chat. Like, he would give, anything and everything. Hard worker, really good businessman, but just too charitable.
Too big a heart, you reckon?
He trusted everybody and anybody, and that probably got him into trouble. Because everyone ends up taking from you. But he was, the legacy that he left for us as a family, and the person that he was, and the man that, he raised his kids to be, and then what he left us with. We're probably the family that we are and the people that we are a lot because of the man that he was. Like, he raised obviously my mum, and when my mum met my dad, I reckon my dad would say he's one of his biggest heroes is his father.
That's pretty cool too, because I remember your brother said that your dad came down on the bus and he was trying to hook up with your mum, and your koro was like, "Boy, you better go on a mission or something." Get out here. But he pushed them into the right direction to go and figure it out, and then came back and all right then.
He's like, my dad never does the haka. Like, I've never seen my dad do I've never seen my dad do the haka, and the only time he did it was at my koro's funeral.
True.
And so that, for me, that speaks a lot about the man that my koro was, and especially to my dad. Like, my dad he's pretty stern. Now that he's gotten older, I think I've seen a lot of the softer side. But he never used to do the haka. He wouldn't do this, he wouldn't do that. But when it comes to my koro, I think he would move heaven and earth to make sure, my nan and my koro are put on the pedestal that they need to be.
Beautiful. Just on your old man before, because I got a couple of quick questions before we get out of here. Your brother said that he is the king of self-talk. Is that a true statement? Like, the boy just pumping himself up? Your dad?
Yeah. Okay. We used to mock him because he will sit there and we could be at lunch wherever, and he'd just be like, "Yeah, you got this, Eli. You got that." But he doesn't. We always, that as kids, we would always say, "What the frick are you talking to yourself, bro? You look like a Looney Tune." But now that we know, he's like, "Yeah, you got this. You got this." He talk himself up, and he always he's pretty big on just what you say to yourself is pretty much where you'll end up. So if he's training, if he's working, he's just yeah, you got this. You got this. And it just might be little cues and stuff like that. But I honestly think we do it as kids too, because I do it now.
Yeah, of course, that's what you've seen here, all your life.
But I'm I get now why he's talking to him. He could be talking to himself, having a fight with. He would have yelled at someone, and then he'll be in the pool doing something, and he'll be talking over the argument that he had. So, he's pretty big on
manifestations.
Wow. Just thought, what the frick are you doing, bro? You weirdo. Start laughing.
Now that's known as manifestation, self-talk. That's what your brother said. Very people talk about that. Hey, that's Eli Rapana. I've been doing it all my life. Eli Rapana.
Well, he was always someone that manifested and did all that stuff, and even cold plunges and stuff like that. Breathing,
things, eh?
Yeah, Dad always done that. Growing up, I remember just thinking we were so cool because we had a shower outside. Because Dad liked cold showers. Dad only ever had cold showers. So now that I think
now that it's trending on Instagram, we've been doing this way back.
Growing up, as for fun, we didn't have a hot spa out the back because Dad didn't want it to be hot. He wanted it to be cold, so we had a cold plunge out the back of our house. And so all of that stuff for me is just this is just what we used to do as kids. This is normal. But
now it's trending.
I used to just think he was a weirdo. Why are we doing this? What the heck? But now,
in a way, societally, norm, that is weird. But then you look at the success your old man's had as a father, as a man, all that kind of stuff. But
I'm that's just
it must fucking work. Hey, it must bloody work. Hey.
But I was that's just how everyone's you go out. He loved being in nature. He loved tricks and stuff like that. He used to take us to the beach. He used to take us out to the rock pools and stuff like that. I'm that's all self-healing stuff. And we've learnt that our whole lives. And I honestly used to think he was a weirdo. But that's therapeutic to the world now.
Yeah, that stuff's trending. That's what your brother said though. He said the same thing, all the stuff trending on Instagram now. My dad been doing that all my life.
So even like when we would be running, like Dad used to take us on some wild runs. Like we used to live on a hill like this. It was called Swanboy.
Yeah.
We used to live on a hill like this. One year he told the boys that they had to run the beep test on the hill to see how much they could get. And I was like, bro, but like that's just like the weirdo stuff that coaches do now. Like
yeah.
when you like look at the world and where it's gone with training, like especially athlete, I'm like, if Dad didn't do that with us, they'll like make us just do some work. Like he used to make us sprint the hill. The hill was huge. And
but that's why you are where you've been able to do what you've done too. You know what I mean? Like
we're gonna start it on the hill, we're gonna go up, we're gonna go around. Like and would run for days, for ages, and then he'd be like, yeah, how did that feel? Shit. It felt shit.
Hated it there.
And he's like, but like that was where he like I think that's where he built our like, you know, the confidence in ourselves to be able to just like achieve anything and like the mental like game that it plays in your head, especially when you're running for like long distances, is like just how he talks to himself in his run. Like I would love to be like, you know, just a fly in his brain, just to see how his brain ticks, especially when he's running, because there was always a competition. Like he had to beat the boys, and he would beat the boys, like not just by a few meters. Like he'd be up the top of the hill telling them to hurry up, like hurry up. But there was like he always stuck to the same pace. Like he never he wouldn't just take off. He'll just hold the same pace the whole run. Yeah. And like the boys used to struggle and I think when they started like Adam was the first, Jaylee's husband was the first to start. Like I think Joelin would still lose to him now. I would. Adam was the first to beat him. Like as he's gotten older, but Adam was like, bro, like he's probably one of the hardest guys to beat because he's so mentally strong. And that's what I think is like good about our parents, is they're very mentally strong. But then at the same time, they expect us to just be as mentally strong when we're all little puffs because they've done everything for us.
But it also makes sense, like all of that kind of training and all of that kind of like why he is where he is and why his kids have been able to, you know, to have kids that are they've done some cool things, man, you know, like, you know, that's awesome. And even like you said, like your brother could have been, probably was the best, but just injury and, you know.
Well, no, he's with Dad, but at the same time, like Dad's just always wanted us to do our best and to be able to, you know, be proud of where we're at and just be able to just, you know, he'd rather us be good people and good humans than, you know, anything in this world. So
yeah, exactly. Hey, before we get out of here, sister, I got a couple of quick ones, if that's all right.
Yeah.
If you could have one kai for the rest of your life, one meal every day, you got to eat this meal. What do you choose?
Surf and turf.
Yeah. How you have how you have it?
Cheese, medium rare.
Oh yeah, medium rare.
Surf
could you have turf. A blue eye or nah?
Nah.
It's hectic. Some of them, man, like, bro, you didn't even cook that at all.
I don't want to be chewing for ages.
I don't want papu come.
Nothing worse than everyone's like, yeah, that's a nice day. That my brother could, our oldest brother, he could eat it million, just like a and I'm like, ooh. But medium rare it has to be.
Yeah, medium rare.
I love a steak. A bit of mash and veg.
Every day, eh?
I reckon
like,
I could.
Do you got anybody's or your own or like something like from a certain place?
I'd say my brother's Ray's. He does a good surf and turf.
Yeah. He's the line.
He's the oldest. He prides himself on being the barbecue man. He thinks he's the barbecue man, but he does actually make a really good steak, surf and turf. So I would actually, and his wife's a mean-ass cook too, so they complement each other. But she's good at cooking everything and anything. So she bakes cakes. She's a good, she's a mean cook.
How do you go, sis? How do you go in the kitchen? Nah,
I'm one of the youngest. I'm like, what's this? Why do I have to do that? I mean, I'll do it if I have to. Overall.
But it's not like, you know, those aunties that just love it in the kitchen.
No, I hate. There's one thing I hate, it's cooking.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of things I don't like doing, but if there's one thing I don't like doing, it's cooking. So anyone else can cook. At the moment, like, Dad makes dinner, and he can't cook either.
Oh, true. What's his best meal then?
Hello Fresh at the moment is our best.
Hello Fresh. Hello Fresh.
Easy from rugby training. That's been our staple at the moment.
So superpowers.
Yeah, Jaylee's
Eli?
She's
yeah.
Her and Adam's a mean cook too. So
Sure.
overall, they're just
very Māori.
No, he's Egyptian Australian.
Oh,
yeah,
flash, all right.
He's Egyptian Australian. So.
But a pharaoh in the
the Mancino. We used to call him Mancino, the pharaoh. He used to have this haircut where it was like looked like a lion. He used to have and Jelly used to like permanently straighten it, so he looked like an actual lion. And then we're like, yeah, you are Egyptian, bro.
Let's go. So superpowers. Besides the superpowers that you already possess, if you could choose a superpower in the realm of superpowers or create your own, which one are we going and why?
That's a hard one. I'm pretty sure I've got asked this question a few times. I reckon I'd be teleport. It would take out so much.
Oh,
just get to here and there faster than having to drive and carry it. Like I hate like the fact that I have to, when you drive places and it takes so long.
Oh, just to
be able to go.
You don't want that journey. You just want to be there.
Yeah. That's how much time you take in a car, honestly, is a joke. Get to school, drop
even
the kids
airplanes,
off, just to be able to go there and be there in a heartbeat would take a lot of the pressure off of time and being able to manage your time better and have more time.
Teleportation, just so you can time management wise.
Yeah, that would be me, I reckon. Well, what's yours?
Teleportation, but mine's a little bit weird. I would have Eli Rapana style's weird, No. Yeah, mine's a little bit weird. I'd have teleportation, so for that purpose to just go around wherever you want, But also time machine, so I could be a teleport that I could go back in time and or go forward in time.
Yeah.
I'll go back and look at different areas of the world and like check it out. Like not even to like mess with the timeline, just go and see is what we're being told in the book, like history book, true? Like was Egypt actually like the bro Adams whānau? Go see the cousins over there, see if how they actually built the pyramids, you know what I mean? All that kind of stuff. Go sit in the Colosseum when the lions were rumbling with the gladiators and see what that was like.
See what history actually was like, hey?
Because we're told it through like whoever wrote the thing, right? But was that actually true? Because you and I could just write some rubbish and put it out there, and you know what I mean? So even the Library of Alexandria, I'd like to go back to there and see, like if I had the ability to try and read all of those books and see if like there was maybe technology that was lost when it got burnt, because all of that kind of stuff.
I mean, Joel, that's why you and Joelin would have had a mean chat.
Oh yeah, we took 3 hours, but we took for an hour before and an hour after. For 4 hours.
Because he loves that stuff. Like he is Google.
And we didn't even talk about that. Imagine there would have been another 4 hours, but literally an hour before, an hour after, and 2 hour podcast. I don't even do two. Like that was the longest interview podcast I've done was with your brother.
Well, that's how I was like when he goes, he was like telling us at home, he's like, I did this podcast, the bro's gonna hit you out, and I was like, yeah, we could just tell him to hit up. And I was just like, bro, you would have talked his ear off about every little detail, every little thing about.
Wait, that's me though. It's the same thing. Same buzz. Yeah. No,
but he's very knowledgeable. I'll give him that. Like he knows. Like when he loves something and he's passionate about something, he goes deep. But sometimes we're all like, shut up, bro. We don't want to know. Just tell me about that, not tell me the whole backstory and then tell me. I just asked the question, so just tell me that.
Yeah, but he's a good yarn though. Even the Brian Habana story cracked me up, like about him taking on Brian Habana and being like, "Oh no!" Like, this is my preseason debut against this fella. Like, oh, and did they try to staunch him out? Like, this cracked me up. So far, I can't burn him. I can't catch up to him. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna staunch him out.
And he's the least staunch out of all of us. Like if it came down to it, if I was to ring someone, if I was gonna get a hiding,
Yeah.
and I was to ring,
Give me the list. Give me the list. Like of the
if I
siblings.
was,
Give us a
if
top
it's
5.
gonna,
Who gets the call first?
if I was gonna get a hiding,
Yeah.
and I wanted to win the fight,
Yeah. Who
I'd
you bring
call.
in?
I'd ring the oldest, Raymond.
Yeah. Right.
He's
Okay.
the littlest, but he would give them a
The
hiding.
hardest. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I'd call if I obviously if I need more backup, I'd call Saban because he's a hothead and he would just think that he knows, but he'd probably get a hiding, but it's all good.
But he's in there. He's in there.
Yeah.
He's in there. Yeah.
And then I'd call Jaylee.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to call her, but I'd just have to call her just for the moral support of a loud mouth in the back screaming. And then it would be Joelin and Gio wouldn't love his way out of it, so he's getting called last.
He would love his way out.
Come on, guys, like this is enough. No, I'd have to call Jordan, then Joelin, then Gio.
Okay.
Because Joelin would just like come in and he'd just be like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like it takes a lot for that boy to get angry.
But you mean like he would fix the situation by bringing a different element to it instead of just.
And then Gio try shit talk the way out of it, but Raymond would just come, give them a hiding and leave. Saban would just come, go psycho, and wouldn't even give them a time to talk. We're all pretty hot-headed, but we're just hot-headed and can't fight.
So, Scott, any advice for anybody? Is the best segue ever from Rumbles to any advice? Any advice for any? Let's go young. Let's go for someone that's on the 18, maybe 20. And they're on the cusp of cracking it into the NRLW. Like they've put in the mahi, they're right there. Like any advice for them?
Oh, my advice would just be have fun. Like enjoy the process and the moment of it, because once it comes, it's not as fun as you think it is. And I think, growing up, especially when you have a dream and it's like your dream is to do this and that, but you've always done it having fun. And being at such a young age, like, when I look back at playing when I was 16, it was fun. I enjoyed it. We trained twice a week and we did this and we did that, but it was always just a fun opportunity. But when it becomes professional, your hobby becomes a job. So while you're young, enjoy it. If you're umming and ahhing about, certain things that you want to do in your life, if you want to play union and league, if you want to do, there's a lot of girls now that are getting offers from union and league and they want to pursue both, I think for myself, I'll just be like, just be patient with it, enjoy the opportunities that you can, because once you're my age, you're only limited to opportunity. And if there was a lot of things I could do differently, it would be, extending the olive branch and being able to see things from a broader perspective and being able to, dip my hands in a few other buckets instead of just isolating myself to one thing. So I love league. I love the opportunities that it's created for me. But if you're young and you're trying to, crack it, be patient, enjoy the process, have fun, because once it doesn't become fun, you can lose that passion and that drive. So
have fun.
Yeah, have fun and enjoy the moments and enjoy the opportunities, because they don't come around very often. And once they're here, they're gone in the twinkling of an eye. So it goes very fast. So be present in the moment, have fun, and enjoy the opportunities.
Give us visualizations, sis. 10 years from now, what do you hope life looks like for Tazmin Rapana?
I hope life looks a little bit different than what it is now. 10 years from now, I hope to be retired from football. My kids would be 18 in 10 years, 19 in 10 years. So I hope to, have a few investment properties, and possibly have finished going to school, whether that be occupational therapy or social welfare. I want to be able to finish uni. So hopefully I've finished those two things to be able to, by then in 10 years, be able to, have those a few investment homes, a home for myself and my kids, and to be able to be running the disability side of my mum and dad's business of VHS. So that's where I like to see myself. And then as a side hustle, just be able to be coaching football in some aspect and see how that goes.
Ah,
But I
awesome,
just
sis.
retired from football. If
Yep.
the body will allow me to go another 10 years, I'll be 40 by then. I'll be lucky to go another year a bit.
There you got
yeah.
this, sis.
See myself in 10
Beautiful.
years.
That's it, sis. On. That's it. I just want to say, sis, time is the most valuable commodity we have as humans. The one thing we can never get back. We can always get back money, things, but time spent is time lost. So I just want to thank you for sharing over an hour and a half of your time with me and anyone that listens to this for years to come. I hope you enjoyed it. And I just want to thank you because when I obviously approached your brother, and then we ended up doing this, and then he approached you and your siblings to jump on too. I decided, and we're gonna make a Rapana week. So like, yeah, once I get everybody interviewed, then we'll just dedicate a whole week to the Rapana family, and what a cool family it is. And I'm enjoying learning about it from all the different perspectives. It's gonna be, yeah. He's gonna see who's talking smack and not.
We got from the perspective of the youngest, which is not very valuable.
No, but it could be in a way because you've seen it from a different angle. You know what I mean? It's all good.
You got it from the spoiled child.
Try correct it. But I appreciate you, sis. Big love.
No, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for watching this full episode of Mind the Mic. It takes a lot of time, energy, and effort to create these episodes. So to know that you've watched and listened to the entire thing means the world to myself and all our hosts. If you could, before you leave, please hit the subscribe button and share this episode out to as many people as possible. It would help us so much. Thank you again to everybody that's still here, still watching. Thank you for all your comments, all your shares, all the DMs. Appreciate you all. Make sure you follow us on every platform. Have an awesome morning. Have an awesome night, depending on where you are in the world. Mind the mic out.
Oi, have you hit the link in bio yet?
Watch full episodes on YouTube or listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all streaming platforms.